The following is a presentation of Learfield IMG College. Welcome to the Boston College Football Show, presented by Bud Light. For the next hour, we'll get you caught up on Eagles football. The Boston College Football Show is presented by Bud Light. Whenever there's a game to watch, there's a Bud Light there. And also sponsored by McGovern Auto Group, the official auto group of Boston College Athletics. It's time to talk BC football with head coach Jeff Hafley. Now, here's Jon Meterparel.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the premiere edition of the Boston College Football Show with the first-year head coach, Jeff Hafley. It's great to have you with us. And Coach Hafley, we are working at the remote side of things this year like everybody else. God loves Zoom. I know you're very familiar with it like the rest of the country. And it's good to see you via the remote production.
Same to you. It's good to be here. Still on Zoom. I haven't been in this office on Zoom in a while. I've been lucky I've been able to be in my own office, but got a chance to get home and see the kids, so I turned it on, and here I am again.
Well, you got to take advantage of that. I'm sure it's been very hectic for you, that's for sure. December 14th, it all started when you were hired as the BC football coach, replacing Steve Adazio. And since that point, Coach, I don't know, not much has happened, really. I kid because I love, of course, but a very tumultuous off-season, a lot of things you had to deal with. How did you keep it all in perspective from day one?
Well, you kind of you take it day by day. I get hired. I try to finish out the college season at Ohio State. I get here, get on the road recruiting. Things are going well. Getting to know the team, excited about getting to know the team, hiring a staff, what I feel is a really great staff of a bunch of great guys. And then we start to do a little bit of spring ball, a little bit of football, and then everything gets taken away. And truthfully, at first, it was a little overwhelming. I remember the first few days, I tried to think so far ahead. How are we going to do this? How are we going to recruit? We're not going to get any kids on campus. We're not going to get any commits. We're not going to get this team ready to play. And then I just stopped. And I said, what are you doing? I mean, just take it day by day. Everybody else is dealing with this. Let's just do the best we can every single day and figure it out, adapt, and move forward. And I literally remember waking up one morning and I was like, enough. No more feeling sorry, no excuses, let's go. And literally from then on, it's been full speed ahead.
Yeah, I think an amazing part of what you've done, what the staff has done, and all the support staff has done at BC is keep this thing on track. Keep the train running, so to speak. Every cliche in the book, it's been well documented, and it should be, that BC has had over 2,000 tests for COVID and just one positive since June 22nd. How is that possible?
Well, I think it starts from the top. I mean, Father Leahy let us come back at the end of June. And then you look at our doctors and our medical staff and our trainers, and you look at the staff. But most importantly, you have to look at our players. Because those are the guys that sacrificed. Those are the guys that had to buy into everything that we're teaching. If you guys think about this, right? They get back in June. They have no summer. They're just been quarantined in their homes literally since we were sent home in the spring. And now you're bringing a bunch of college kids back to campus with nobody here. At first, they're not allowed really to leave their room other than an hour a day. Then we finally get back into some weightlifting, and they're in small groups. Then they get into bigger groups, and then we start practicing. And then they're really practicing without knowing, are we really going to play? Do you know how hard that is? I mean, you know how much credit this group deserves? And then, July 4th weekend comes, and most kids at July want to go out, and kids all across college campuses, they go out. And what happened? A lot of kids got sick. And unfortunately, a lot of positive tests came up. And you look at our group and what they've done and what they've sacrificed. So what have they sacrificed? They didn't go out. They didn't leave campus. They didn't hang out with their friends. They didn't hang out with their girlfriends. So I shouldn't get any credit. I mean, it's the kids. It's the sacrifice. And all I've talked to them about, this isn't about me, first of all. Don't make it about me. This is about you guys. And this is about showing each other that you love and care about each other, because that's the ultimate sign of love is respect and how you treat people. So I said one day, I said, seniors, stand up. I said, look at a guy like Max Richardson. If you choose to go out and leave and you get this virus and you bring it back and Max can't play, you just ruined the most important year of his career. Yeah. Right? And I went down the line and I gave those facts out to the guys. And I said, guys, if you want to go out and if you want to leave campus and if you just want to be an ordinary guy in this really hard time, just go. I'm totally cool with you. I won't judge you. I won't hold it against you. Come on back when it's done. I promise you I'll give you a fair chance. But if you decide to stay, do it for the guy next to you. And they've done it. And I can't even imagine how hard it is. I mean, even right now, the college students are back. We've tested. And now especially, every time I wait and I text the doctors like a million times and they've been negative. So again, starting at the top, giving us the opportunity. And then I appreciate the guys buying into our message, and you have to give them credit.
No, you certainly do. And those are great points all around. And I think an unheralded aspect of this around college football for every program for that matter that's having success is that support staff, your doctors, your trainers, your managers, your nutritionists, everybody around the program. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, our trainers have been phenomenal. You know, I probably know our team doctor way better than I ever would have in a normal world, right? Usually your team doctor, you get to know, hey, what does the x-ray look like? I feel like they're like in my favorites on my iPhone now. I hit them and they show up. Doctor this, doctor that, our trainer Mike. And then the other people you got to give a ton of credit to are our two operations people, Reggie Terry and Brendan Bishop. I mean, they're like superheroes right now, putting everything in place. They work as long, if not longer, than coaches. They've been here since June. They've been here every weekend. This wouldn't be able to happen, one, without our players buying in and believing in each other, and two, the support staff that we have. And I appreciate them so much. And just the fact that we're going to play a game, it's because of people like that. And we're very grateful.
Jeff, when you took the job and when you were contemplating taking the job, what made BC attractive to you?
Well, there were a lot of things. And truthfully, you know, when I left San Francisco, when I left the NFL, I kind of took a leap of faith. I was close to becoming a coordinator in that league, had the opportunity to be, and I wanted to become a college head coach. And when my wife and I sat down, I mean, I'm a Northeast guy, and I have certain beliefs. And we circled a handful of jobs that really fit us. Because to me, it's not just about getting any job. It's about the right fit for me and the right fit for my family. And what does that look like? One, I'm a Northeast guy. She grew up in Pittsburgh. We wanted our family to live in a great place. Boston is an awesome place. Massachusetts is an awesome place. We love that about it. Great people, great school systems. Then the school. I mean, growing up in North Jersey, I knew all about Boston College. And the fact that the great education, the Jesuit values, that's who I am. It's being able to coach football with great people. And what do I mean by that? I want to coach people who, you know, are going to go to class, are going to go to their tutoring, are going to do things the right way, aren't going to take shortcuts. I want to coach at a school that I'm not going to have to cheat. I'm not going to have to do things the wrong way. You can do things the right way here. And what I saw a team that's, you know, made bowl games, done a good job, played hard, tough team. You know, I felt the support when I got interviewed, and I felt like they really wanted to take a step. And, you know, I think the staff did a nice job before we came in. I'll never say anything bad about any of those guys, but this was the fit for me. And I'm so happy to be here. The only thing I miss is, you know, when we first got here, you could sense the students were starting to get so excited, right?
Yeah.
I went to the basketball game and I could sense it. I spoke at the hockey game and it was electric. I mean, when I walked down the floor when we were playing BU, I mean, I got the chills, and I just started getting fired up and yelling all over the place.
Sure.
And after the game, I'm walking around and people were slapping me high fives. People were telling me they're going to come to the games and that they're in, and then we get sent home, right? So I love what this school is all about. I do. I love being here, and through all this stuff, as hard as it's been, it's proven to me that I made the right decision even more.
No, and we're happy to have you, that's for sure. This is the BC Football Show with Jeff Hafley. Jeff, attendance, you mentioned the word overwhelming. When you looked at the roster before you took the job, when you took the job, how have things tweaked in your mind now that you're back on the field with these guys? You've gone through the preseason with them. How have things developed from day one to now?
Well, that's what we were looking forward to spring football so much, right? Because I can watch all the film I want. You don't really learn about someone until you get your hands on them and you coach them and you really get to see them live. And that's how I've always felt. So I feel like we're really starting to get to know the guys now. And we're really starting to feel like who we have, who can process, who really fits in the scheme, who we might have to move around. And we're still in that process. And we're going to continue to make this about ourselves and getting better and figuring this all out, you know, throughout the season. I mean, this season is going to be a process. It is. And again, I won't make excuses. I'm not going to make being a first-year head coach an excuse. I'm not making the pandemic, nothing. We're here, right? And we're going to do everything we can each week to compete. But we just need to get better. And the process needs to be right. And what I mean by that is we need to learn how to work, how to prepare, how to train, how to eat, how to sleep. And it takes time. And, I like what we have right now. We brought in some transfers who we thought we needed at certain positions. And, we're going to continue to recruit hard. But we have who we have now. And I'm proud of them, and I'm excited to coach them on Saturday.
How have you had to change your coaching style in this environment? Is it a more motivating style now? Have you had to motivate more, less on-field coaching, and more getting guys going and getting them, making sure they're on the field?
I'd say motivation's been a big key. I mean, just to use an example, we're getting ready to practice in training camp, and there were a couple of days where the Big Ten canceled, which I'm glad they're back now. The Pac-12 canceled. So what do our guys do? For a couple of days, I'm beating myself up, I'm beating my body up, and we're probably not going to play, right? Then our opener gets canceled, and then when they hear Ohio's gone, and now we're not playing until, this Saturday, and wow, we're so far away from a game. We've been here since June 22nd. So I think the motivation's been a key, but I think it's a different motivation. It's not a yelling and screaming motivation. It's not a rah-rah, because that doesn't last, right? I mean, I could get you guys all fired up right now, and for 30 seconds, I could have you run through the window. And in 3 hours, it wouldn't mean anything. So to me, the motivation was just showing the love and showing we care and showing the players that we're there for them and that our number one interest is them as people and to be healthy and to take care of them and to develop them. And to me, that was the biggest part, and it still is the biggest part. And that's who I am, and that's who I'm going to be. And I found myself probably not being able to coach as much football as I thought year one, but that's fine. I mean, I'm setting this foundation the right way, and I want these guys to know we love and care about them and to build that with our team. So that's probably been the biggest thing.
We saw you last year at the bowl game. It was a tough game for BC against a very good Cincinnati squad. What did you walk away from that game thinking?
Well, I walked away soaking wet with the rest of everybody else who was there. Truthfully, the game got delayed for so long that I had to run to my flight after about the first quarter because of
right. Yeah,
I almost missed my flight. I wasn't going to judge anything off that game, and I'm not going to judge anything off the film I saw last year. I saw a group at a bowl game, and I saw a terrible weather day, and I saw, the outcome of the game that really didn't represent who those kids were. And I told them, I'm not going to judge you based on anything that happened in the past. I gave them a clean slate, and I said, let's go to work. And that's what we did.
And that clean slate begins on Saturday at Duke. We're going to get to that game, our noon kickoff from Durham. A lot to talk about with Jeff Hafley, the first-year BC head coach. This is the BC Football Show. I'm Jon Meterparel. He's the coach, Jeff Hafley. We'll be back right after this from our good friends at Bud Light.
Get your ice cold Bud Light Seltzer here. Even though you can't go to the game, doesn't mean the game.
Your home buying experience will be unique. That's why our dedicated mortgage loan experts share your commitment, taking the time to truly understand your individual needs and working with you to find solutions that set you up for success. See how Cambridge Savings Bank can help you get home at cambridgesavings.com. Member FDIC, member DIF, equal housing lender, NMLS number 543370.
Guys, we work hard and play even harder. That's why Hadjars believes that you should feel your best all the time. From casual wear to the perfect tailored suit for all the big and tall guys out there. Do yourself a favor and dress like the Eagles do on game day. Get to Hadjars, where they have been delivering confidence to the better-than-average man for the past 50 years. Visit Hadjar showrooms in Quincy or Burlington, or go to big-tall.com for more information. That's big-tall.com. Go BC!
No one gets you closer to ACC Sports than SiriusXM. Tune in to shows on ACC Radio hosted by experts like Wes Durham, Chris Spatola, EJ Manuel, Torrey Holt, and me, Mark Packer. Plus, get conference news, analysis, and much more. From off-season through postseason, we've got your team covered anywhere you go. And now you can try us out for free. Get a free trial to take your team with you on your phone, online, and at home. Start listening at SiriusXM.com/ACCSXM.
It's back, the return of the prestigious Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, honoring college sports excellence across all competitive divisions, both men's and women's sports. Follow along with L Directors Cup on Twitter or online to see which schools will be taking home a first place trophy in June for their season-long success. Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, a premier institutional award jointly launched in 1993 by USA Today and NACDA.
This is the Boston College Football Show, presented by Bud Light. For more of tonight's show, here again, Jon Meterparel.
Is one of the best groups around at BC at Chestnut Hill. Paul Criscione, Don Terrian do a great job. Those are the fans that you want at every game. Unfortunately, they can't be there, at least for the time being, but that's a great group.
You were on mute there, John. I didn't catch you until the very, very end.
I think can you hear me now? Yes, you can. All right. Yeah. Welcome to the world of Zoom, everybody. I was just saying the BC Gridiron Club is one of the great fan venues or fan groups that BC is surrounded by, and those guys are terrific support for the program. Paul Criscione and Don Terrian. If we were someplace tonight, Coach, at a bar or a restaurant, they would be there. So
yeah, I wish we were. I met those guys when I got here originally, and they were awesome. And unfortunately, I couldn't be around them, but I know that soon we will be, and I'm looking forward to that. And I appreciate their support.
Yeah, certainly. And they'll be watching from Duke on Saturday. We're getting excited for that game in the opener. Duke played last week. They lost at Notre Dame 27-13. What did you learn about the Blue Devils in that one?
They're a much improved team from last year. I mean, they went toe-to-toe with the top 10, top 20 team. And truthfully, if you really watch the game close, I mean, they're a play or two away from going up. I mean, that fake punt when he cut the ball back, and they make that play there, and it's a different game. There's some penalties. There's a turnover. Very well-coached team. Coach Cutcliffe does a great job. Coach Guerreri and Coach Albert on defense do a really nice job. They're very sound. They play with really good fundamentals. Their kids play really hard, and they're improved. And with that quarterback, I mean, they're going to be able to put points up on people, as you saw versus Notre Dame. And their back's a really good player. So I think what you're looking at is another solid team in the ACC that Coach Cutcliffe is getting the best out of.
A lot of people, guys like me, say, all right, Coach Cutcliffe's a great offensive coach, well-documented, quarterback whisperer. Jeff Hafley's a terrific defensive coach, well-documented, coming off a blockbuster year with Ohio State. A chess match, so to speak. Is there a tendency for guys like me to overrate that?
I think so. When you get to this point, I think there's a lot of really good coaches. We don't have much film. Obviously, Coach Cutcliffe is coaching. He's calling the offense now, and you could tell there's some differences from last year to this year. What you like to usually do when you're calling a game is you like to really get to know the coordinator, his tendencies, get a feel for it, what he's going to do in certain field zones, down and distance, backed up, situational football. We're going to have to be on top of it though, because he's going to have a plan. He's going to be able to respond, and he's been through it. I mean, look, he's been there for 13 years as the head coach. He was the National Coach of the Year. We know what he did at Tennessee. We know what he does with quarterbacks. So there's a tremendous amount of respect. So we have to be on top of it for sure.
Now, offensively, your offense returns some terrific players, and I think it starts up front. There's no doubt about that. With 4 returning starters, probably 4 pro-caliber starters, you do have some movement up front, Coach. What did you do this year to tinker a little bit with the offensive line?
Well, we just tried to figure out who fit best where. You know, we were going to put it right tackle, left tackle, who was going to be the guard, who was going to be the center. We moved guys around, and we feel pretty comfortable with, I think, what you're going to see in our lineup on Saturday. Based on who's where. I can't say enough about that group. Not only are they good players, but you want to talk about a good group of guys, a fun group of guys. I mean, I'm a defensive guy. You guys all know that. And I'm a DB guy. So most of my life has been spent with DBs. Truthfully, I've been on defensive staff some places where I don't even know all the offensive linemen by their names until like year 2. But what's happened to me this year is I've really gravitated to our O-line. And it all started in the Zoom meetings. I pop in and out of different rooms and, just hitting a button, seeing the running backs, receivers. Going to that room, those guys are great. I mean, you want to talk about personality, fun guys, have a good time, but are serious about ball, that love each other. And then you get to practice and you go down to individual. Like, sometimes I'll work with the DBs and we got a great DB coach and coaches are. So I leave and I can't just walk around. I get bored. So I'll go spend some time with the O-line, and half the time I don't even know what drills they're doing, but I just love being around those guys. So great group, probably our most experienced group. I'm definitely going to rely on them, and I've had a lot of fun with them so far.
Yeah, no, that's like, I'm sure a lot of coaches are envious with the talent you have coming back there. The quarterback derby between Jurkovec and Grossell. Grossell played well down the stretch last year, led BC to some big-time wins. Jurkovec comes with much acclaim from Notre Dame. I know you still haven't decided yet who's starting Saturday, but the strengths for Jurkovec versus Grossell.
Yeah, Dennis, I mean, what an awesome kid. If any of you guys ever get a chance to meet him, he's one of the best guys ever. Whatever he does, whether it's in football or after football, he's going to knock it out. I mean, he's a star. Tough, smart, competitive, has mastered the offense. You feel really good with him behind the center. He's going to manage it. He's going to get you in the right play. He's going to make the right reads. He's solid, and he's unselfish, and he's a great teammate, and he's a great leader. Phil, big, strong, big arm, can run for his size. I mean, wait till you guys see what he looks like in his pads. He's a big kid, and he can move. Still inexperienced, hasn't played a ton of football, didn't get much of a shot to get in too many games at Notre Dame. So it's almost like having a freshman, And actually, John, with the new rule, he's still got 4 years of eligibility. So he technically is a freshman. So I think he's learning every day. I mean, last night I left the office and he was walking around there when it was like 9:30 and I was walking down the hall and he was in there. So loves football. So I've been really impressed with him, and he's getting better every single day.
No, he looks like, you're right, a linebacker. I was there on Saturday watching from the stands, and he's 6'5", 226. At least they list him on the roster at that. He looks even bigger than that, Coach.
Yeah, we weighed him in pads. I think he's close to like 250 with his pads on. So,
oh, jeez.
It's like when you used to walk out. It's not a comparison, but I remember coaching against Cam Newton when he used to walk out. He looked like an NBA forward, and I'd be like, God, I was hoping he didn't show up today.
The Patriots are happy he is showing up, that's for sure. But
no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Your offensive philosophy, it's been written, your pro style, you want to be multiple, you want to get the ball down the field. I think a lot of coaches say that. BC, we've become accustomed to BC being ground and pound. Let's face it, with an outstanding tailback in A.J. Dillon. You got another one on the roster this year in David Bailey. What will happen offensively? Will that be from week 1 to week 11? Will it be similar styles every week?
Well, it's funny. You say pro style, right? And if you watch a lot of the pro teams right now, what is pro style anymore? The games are starting to mesh together. I've always been a very big fan of the NFL pass game. I think it's hard to defend, really hard to defend. Some of the concepts, especially when I first got to the NFL, I was like, wow, what is this? And then I grew to love it, and I'm a big fan. And then when I got back to college, I love the college run game because it's hard to defend, really hard to defend. So I wanted a mix. I wanted a guy with an NFL background, a college background, and then I wanted to hire a bunch of guys who, a guy like Coach Daly, who's been a coordinator, a guy like Coach Shimko, who's been a coordinator, a guy, Coach Applebaum's been a coordinator. So if you look at the guys who I've hired, yeah, Coach Ignetti was my first call, 100%. Quarterback guy, so important to get a quarterback guy. I coached with him. I coached against him. I've always struggled beating him. Loves ball, great leader, great mentor, great person. And then I gelled it with really, our O-line coach has been a coordinator. So guys that see the big picture, right? A wide receiver coach has been a coordinator. Tight end coach has been a coordinator. So I kind of meshed it with a bunch of guys to bring a variety and put it all together. Now, I think what you're going to see week 1 will look different week 2, week 3, just like the defense. We still have to build this thing because we haven't had time. But yeah, you're going to see some elements of line up, bury people, and let's go. And then you're going to see us spread out and make defenses defend every blade of grass. And then you're going to see us throw the ball down the field as far as we can. And, I want it all. I'm a defensive guy. I know it's hard to defend, and I want to be hard to defend. And I want it simple for the players, hard for the coordinators. And I think Coach Ignetti's done a really good job. He's made my head spin all camp, and I'm glad I don't have to go against him for very much longer.
Yeah, Frank Ignetti, we're going to get to him in a moment. One guy that's really popped in camp this year is Zay Flowers. He had moments last year where he was no doubt one of the fastest players in the league. Tailed off maybe a little bit towards the end of his freshman campaign. But this year, what has he done to get better?
He's worked. He practices so hard. He goes so fast. He's so competitive. He's so upbeat. He's so positive. He's the guy, which we all know, that whenever you see him, he's got a smile on his face. And you can't help but be in a good mood. And, he could drop the ball and look at you and smile. And it's like, all right, man, let's get the next one, right? Just a really quick guy, very shifty. He's going to be a guy in space. Again, we want guys like that that are hard to defend in space, because if it's just him versus one guy, it's hard. It's hard for us defensive guys. But again, can't say enough about him as a kid. And I'm excited to see what he can do. He's going to get his shots, and I think he'll take them and run with it.
What other receivers, Coach, have made strides this year?
Kobe's been battling the injury a little bit, so he's been practicing here and there. Look at his production over his career, right? It's been incredible. So he had the ankle, he had the knee injury he was dealing with, and he's been back and forth and done a nice job. Ethan Williams, big, strong guy, tough kid, just continues to get better. Jelani, same way. Shifty, quick. Coach Daly's done a good job with those wideouts. The progress that they've made from the first day as route runners, as blockers, it's impressive. And then, obviously we brought Jalen Gillen from Ohio State, another guy, really good with the ball in his hands. He can line up all over the place. You can put him in the backfield, line him up in the slot, put him at wide receiver. So just, you got a bunch of guys. I think you're going to see a lot of them. I want to play a lot of people. Our philosophy is going to be, if a guy deserves to play, let's get him in the game. The more guys that we can have roles for, I feel better about. It makes the team tighter. It makes the locker room tighter. And these kids are playing college football. If they deserve to get out there, let's give them a chance to go get out there.
BC's known as O-line U. Now you're going to be maybe tight end U. Hunter Long, I think, is a pro caliber talent. I know the prior coaching staff was extremely high on him, and I'm sure you are as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. The biggest thing for me is what a good blocker he is. Even coming from the other league, you get a lot of guys who are really good pass catching tight ends, good receiving tight ends, essentially big, tall receivers, right? It's hard to find a guy who can do it all, and he does that, which is really, really impressive. You can put him in line and block. You can spread him out at wide receiver, and he's going to be a mismatch. Hard worker, great kid, and I'm glad we have him.
We have a question, Coach, from a loyal listener by the name of Tim Wheaton, a guy that's very familiar with the BC program. He wants to know, if you win the toss Saturday, are you going to kick off or will you receive?
That is a good question. I got to go over that with the staff, Tim. I'm a defensive guy, so what do you think I'm going to do, Tim? I'm betting that I'll probably defer, but I also know sometimes when I'm on defense and we get the ball first, I kind of like that sometimes too, let the game settle in. So it depends how I feel when I wake up that morning.
It's just a feel thing that day, huh?
I guess, what's the weather going to be? What's the wind going to be? Is it raining out? How do we feel about our defense? Certainly you'd love to defer, play defense, stop them 3 and out, punt, get good field position. You love to play that game. And sometimes you want to get the ball and go down the field and score. It's not an exact science. I'll talk to the staff about it. But I don't have an answer yet for you, Tim.
Stay tuned, Tim. You'll find out soon enough at noon on Saturday. Coming back after this short timeout in the BC Football Show, we're talking some defense with the former Ohio State defensive coordinator, now BC head coach Jeff Hafley. Right after this, from our good friends at Bud Light. Stick around.
Get your ice cold Bud Light. Bud Light Seltzer here. Even though you can't go to the game, doesn't mean the game can't be brought to you now here. Just go to budlight.com/delivery. That's budlight.com/delivery.
Give me 2 mangoes.
Coming at you. It's a little short. Ow. Sorry. You know what? I'm just going to walk them over to you.
Whenever there's a game to watch, there's a Bud Light there. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, and Bud Light Seltzer, IRC Beer in Texas, St. Louis, Missouri.
Boston College 1992 alum Matt McGovern is the proud owner of the McGovern Auto Group, Boston's fastest-growing family of car dealerships. Matt is proud to serve BC, its students, and their families, with 11 dealerships across the Boston Metro and over 5,000 vehicles to choose from. Don't settle for a new vehicle from just anyone. Join your fellow Eagles Matt McGovern, Mark Walker, Christine Hyde, and Tom Kilgariff at McGovern Auto Group. Visit them online at McGovernAuto.com. Go Eagles!
Technology has sure changed the way we live and bank. But one thing it should never change is the importance of a warm smile or friendly handshake, or the comfort of knowing that when you need help, there's a neighbor that's there to lend a hand. At the Village Bank, we offer all the services you need to bank more easily, but with that personal touch that seems to be so hard to find today. To learn more about how we can help you, call 617-969-4300. Stop in or visit village-bank.com. Either way, we'll be there for you. The Village Bank, member FDIC, member SIF.
Sullivan Tire and Auto Service is celebrating our 65th anniversary with amazing deals on quality brand name tires for any vehicle. With the winter driving season not far off, Sullivan Tire has thousands of tires on sale from Goodyear, Michelin, Kelly, BF Goodrich, Yokohama, and more. Also save on auto repair as our ASE certified technicians get your car ready for any kind of weather. Locations all over New England, including Newton, Brookline, Somerville, and Watertown. Find out more and make an online appointment at sullivantire.com. Go BC!
And now another edition of Obvious News from Geico. A study says that soft talkers do not make great radio personalities. We asked local librarian Steve Sage about this, and here's what he said.
Honestly, I don't buy it. I think I make very captivating radio.
Also in Obvious News, Geico makes it easy to save money and easy to manage your policy with the Geico app. So switching is a really smart decision. How does Steve feel about this?
I love the Geico app. I use it all the time.
That's Obvious News from Geico.
The passion.
25, first down, 20, 15, 10, 5, 3, 2, 1.
The fury.
Getting blitzed, down he goes.
The speed.
Doubled it into
Western College football.
For the end zone, got it for 6 points. You cannot hitch the wagon. Put the ponies in the board. Over the shoulder, get 30, 20.
This is the College Football Blitz. Listen on Saturdays this fall.
Starting at noon Eastern Time on ESPNU Radio, Channel 84.
You're listening to the Boston College Football Show, presented by Bud Light. Once again, here's Jon Meterparel.
And welcome back to the BC Football Show. Great to have you with us. We're here every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock via the Zoom game. Thank our good friends at Zoom for helping us out, of course, Coach. I like to have stock in that company, that's for sure.
No doubt. I mean, did anyone even know what Zoom was before all this hit?
No, absolutely not. March was Zoom month, and it continues to be Zoom month.
My 5-year-old daughter knows what Zoom is and can run it, so I think Zoom's going to be around for a long time.
Hey, that's a great segue here. Before we get into your defense, your family, and you talked about the importance of family like we all do, or we should do, at your opening press conference December 16th at County Forum. How has the family adjusted to the area?
Oh, they're great. And, I appreciate you asking. My 5-year-old started Zoom kindergarten today, so we had a big first day of kindergarten.
Congrats.
Thank you. My one almost 2-year-old looks entirely different from that press conference clip that I actually saw the other day. So I actually got to know her during the quarantine, so she now knows who I am. So I'm really excited about that. You know, my wife's doing well. I tell her all the time, she's a saint. She's got the kids at home and hasn't been able to leave the house very much. And shoot, we haven't even went out to dinner in the town we live in yet. So, you know, she's been the one that's probably been harder on than me, but, you know, she's a good sport and she's doing a great job.
Well, I'm sure it's an adjustment for all, but that's good to hear. And you've begun the school game, so congrats on that.
Thank you. I made it.
With your daughter. Yes, you did make it, Coach. And you're making it on defense. Defense, a developing unit. You've talked about in the past, you've preached the fact that you don't want to give up explosive plays. It's been a problem for BC in the past. How do you make sure that doesn't happen this year?
Well, if you look, I mean, it's usually the quickest way you get beat. And it was the same thing when we got to Ohio State. I think it all starts with developing who you want to be, right? And I kind of gave you the example earlier. When we got to Ohio State, we looked at the players, we looked at who we had, and we said, this is what we're going to be. And then when we got here, we had to study the players and figure out who we're going to be. I mean, it's entirely different. It's two different skill sets. It's two completely different teams. So we started the build. We started the build from there. I mean, I brought in a really good defensive coordinator in Tem Lukabu. Was with him a lot in my career. So a lot of the same background from when we were at Rutgers and Tampa. And then in San Francisco, he was with me for both coordinators. So Sean Duggan was with me at Ohio State, and big Coach Vince, who, you know, was at UCLA and been a lot of different players. And Coach Azar was a defensive coordinator at UMass. So we kind of just gelled things, right? And we came up with who we want to be. And, you know, I'm not going to tell you what it's going to look like now, but it's going to look different than Ohio State, right? Because it's different players. So you take what you have and you build off of there. And every time you do anything, every coverage you make, every blitz you make, every check you make, every zone pressure you make, the number one thing I want to think about is it safe? Will it give up explosives? What's the risk? What's the reward? There's a fine line about being really aggressive. And there's certain times you want to be aggressive, down distance, field position. What's the score of the game? But you got to take calculated risks. You don't want to be reckless. So I don't want to give up explosives. I want to keep the ball in front. I want to keep it inside. And usually what you see early in a year is you see a lot more explosives on defense. And if you look at the NFL, usually the games are very high scoring early on. And it takes defenses somewhat time to adjust and get going to what offenses are doing. But the main thing is if we can leverage the ball and keep the ball in front, that's what we're going to be built on, regardless of what coverage we have, what blitzes we run. That's what our defense is going to be built on.
And you're bolstered by the additions of some transfers, including a huge one in Luke Beckett, defensive tackle from Cal, newcomer here last couple of weeks, just on campus. What have you learned about him in his short time?
Smart guy. He's like a vet. That's how I feel. I feel like I'm, in the NFL with a vet who's older, knows how to take care of himself, knows how to take care of his body, knows how to practice, handles his business the right way. Just a really mature kid with a great head on his shoulders, big kid, wide kid, practices hard. He's just getting with us. We haven't even been with him for very long. Our staff did a great job recruiting him, and we're able to beat some SEC schools on him. So we're very, very happy he's here.
Yeah, no, that was a huge get. Again, guys like me look at that and say, hey, you know what? That's a huge, not only from a standpoint of talent, but from a depth get. Coaches always worry about depth, especially at this time of year. Is that a concern?
Yeah, I think it is with everybody. We're probably the smallest numbered roster in the ACC. Sitting on those calls, it's, one school saying they have 140 guys and another school saying the average is like 125, and we're barely sitting at 105. So, we need our roster to grow, and we will, and it will take time. But depth is so important because when you look at depth, look at special teams, right? You usually see the deepest teams are the best on special teams. And the teams that can play really well in the fourth are really the deepest teams because you can rotate. You can go in the fourth with a ton of energy. And, we're not quite there yet, but again, we're going to go in the fourth and we're going to let it rip. So we'll build it and we'll get it.
No, you're on your way. And, it really helps too. You have three linebackers that I think probably have pro ability. John Lamont, Isaiah McDuffie, and Max Richardson. What have they done to elevate their games?
Well, Max, who's obviously one of our captains, he's another guy. You want to talk about what a pro looks like. And I don't just mean athletically and talent-wise and playing. You want to talk about a pro, and I've been around some really good guys who approach every day the right way. Leadership, locker room, school. I mean, this kid's a home run. He is a stud. And he practices with his hair on fire, and he loves football. Sometimes I just want to like shake him to get him to smile a little bit. But what an unbelievable kid, and just so instinctive, and has such a good feel for the game and learning our scheme. And then I think you mentioned McDuffie. I kind of call him Bobby Boucher. If you guys ever saw The Water Boy, he just runs around the field like I feel like he's just screaming. Is going to look to hit anything that moves.
Yeah.
So I joke with him a lot. He had the knee injury last year. He's come back strong, and I really look forward to seeing how he plays. I think he's going to be a fast, physical guy for us.
He's very instinctive, Coach, and we've seen a lot of great instinctive linebackers at BC. Top of the list, Luke Kuechly. When he's healthy, he's always around the ball, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's what we saw on tape, and that's what you see in camp. We're doing some different things with those guys. So I think you're going to, don't judge them too hard and everybody get too hard on them early on. I think they're going to really grow this season within the scheme. But I can guarantee you those two are going to play hard. They're going to run to the football, and they're going to hit everything that moves. Hopefully they don't hit any of our own guys.
Yeah, not advised. Your secondary, been embattled last year, but growing and maturing. And also a new addition in Deion Jones, a guy who played very well at Maryland. You pick him up in the transfer portal, a safety. What do you expect out of his game?
Just he's a guy that, he can play all over the place. He can cover tight ends. He can play deep. He can play half. He can play quarters. He gives you a lot of versatility. And he gives us a guy that played in games. We're very young back there, and we're very inexperienced. We have a couple guys like Palmer and Sebastian and Muse, guys that have played, but then there's a lot of other guys. You look at guys like Jason Maitre and DeBerry and even Elijah Jones, who's going to be he's a good football player now. We just don't have guys that are like 3 or 4 year guys that have played a lot of football. We don't have a lot of older guys back there, so he brings a little bit of that presence, and really great addition. Again, I guess you guys are gonna think I say this about all the kids. He's an awesome kid too.
Well, I think you can say that probably about everybody on this roster.
Yeah, good kids. They are, for sure. And, again, that's one of the reasons I'm so glad I'm here, because it's not like that everywhere.
Yeah, no, we've definitely heard that. Now, a good pass rush greatly helps out a secondary. There's no question about that. What do you have to do to generate a more consistent pass rush? I see guys like Shita Salah, who to me looks like he could be a all-ACC performer by the time he's out of BC.
He's got a chance, and truthfully, by the time he's out of BC, if he's not, I'd be disappointed because he has the ability. He's a quick-twitched, fast guy. Still got to learn to play the game, play every single play as hard and as fast as he can, learn the details, learn the technique, but he's got it in his body. And if he puts in the work, he can develop into one of those guys. And we're going to need those guys. I mean, guys used to always joke with me, if you could choose first, would you take a D end or a corner? And I'm a DB guy, right? And no offense to all the DBs I've coached, but I would take the pass rusher, because then those DBs they don't have to cover for very long.
Yeah.
That was always the argument wherever I've been. We have to get pass rush, have to.
Yeah, no, that's going to be essential, especially in this league when there's pretty much a very good quarterback at every turn. This week you have Chase Bryce from Duke. Technique-wise, what does Duke do that might present some challenges for your defense?
Well, I think you got to look at the quarterback first, and then obviously the running back. Quarterback's a good football player. I didn't know much about him until I watched the last week's game, and what impressed me the most was his toughness. He took some shots now, and he got back up, and I have a ton of respect for him. The way he stood in the pocket, kept his eyes down the field, stood in there and made some really, really good throws. I mean, really good throws. Strong arm, and he runs better than you would think. And I don't mean that in any disrespect to him. It's more of a compliment. Kid as big as him who can throw like him and can move. Ran some quarterback draws. They still have the quarterback run game like they did last year. So you're getting a guy that can throw the ball down the field and run. I think it's a really good offense. I think it's an underrated offense, and it's an underrated team. I saw they got 6 votes for the top 25 this year for this week, which they definitely deserve. And then I'm a big fan of the backs. Hard running, good zone runner, patient, 220, solid down below. You're going to have to wrap him up and tackle him with multiple people. He plays football. I love the way Coach Cutcliffe coaches. I mean, he's going to run the ball, and then he's going to throw the ball down the field. He's got a good screen game. He mixes in quarterback run game. He does a nice job. I'm going to say this to you, and it's not going to be every week, but they got to be one of the best coach teams in the ACC.
No kidding.
No, I mean, if you look what they've done, and I know the record doesn't show that, but when you look what they've done up against who they've played against, and you look at last week, I mean, you turn on that tape, I mean, they are the ball bouncing this way, one cutback away from beating Notre Dame.
Yeah.
At home. I mean, so hats off to them, and, we're looking forward to that challenge.
Noah Gray, the tight end, will be a challenge too. Kid from Leominster, Mass. With Hunter Long, probably the top 2 tight ends, I think, in the conference. But good question, Coach, from Twitter for you. Your preparation as a first-time head coach, how does it differ for you? Is there anything – I'm sure there's a lot of things that are different, but how does it differ?
Well, I think it's really the time management right now. I'm just figuring out exactly – how to manage every minute of every day as we get to a normal game week. This week's a little different, right? Because we had a little bit extra time that we got going with, but it's from the time I get in my office. I want to be with the defense here, the offense here, the special teams here. Then a couple kids come in my office and I wind up hanging out with them for 45 minutes to an hour, and then all of a sudden I miss this meeting. So it's just right now, my number one concern this season is going to be there for these players. And as hard of a time as it is, I have a great staff, guys I trust. My number one job this year needs to be there for the players and make sure that they're okay. And no matter what happens, I'm not backing away from that.
Oh, that's good. You always keep your players at the top of the list, that's for sure. He's Jeff Hafley. I'm Jon Meterparel. This is the BC Football Show. We will come back for our final segment of the night right here on the BC Learfield IMG Network right after these words from Bud Light.
Get your ice cold Bud Light. Bud Light Seltzer here. Even though you can't go to the game, doesn't mean the game can't be brought to you now here. Just go to budlight.com/delivery. That's budlight.com/delivery.
Give me 2 mangoes.
Coming at you. It's a little short. Ow. Sorry. You know what? I'm just going to walk them over to you.
Whenever there's a game to watch, there's a Bud Light there. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, and Bud Light Seltzer, IRC Beer in Texas, St. Louis, Missouri.
Boston College 1992 alum Matt McGovern is the proud owner of the McGovern Auto Group, Boston's fastest-growing family of car dealerships. Matt is proud to serve BC, its students, and their families, with 11 dealerships across the Boston Metro and over 5,000 vehicles to choose from. Don't settle for a new vehicle from just anyone. Join your fellow Eagles Matt McGovern, Mark Walker, Christine Hyde, and Tom Kilgariff at McGovern Auto Group. Visit them online at McGovernAuto.com. Go Eagles!
This is Karen's experience.
I looked at houses for over a year, but only had a weekend to lock in an offer.
At Cambridge Savings Bank, we know your home buying experience will be unique, which is why our dedicated mortgage loan experts work closely to understand you on a personal level, giving you the support and confidence to make smart decisions fast, especially on weekends. See how Cambridge Savings Bank can help you get home at CambridgeSavings.com. Member FDIC, member DIF, equal housing lender, NMLS number 543370.
Guys, we work hard and play even harder. That's why Hadjars believes that you should feel your best all the time. From casual wear to the perfect tailored suit for all the big and tall guys out there. Do yourself a favor and dress like the Eagles do on game day. Get to Hadjars, where they have been delivering confidence to the better-than-average man for the past 50 years. Visit Hadjars showrooms in Quincy or Burlington, or go to big-tall.com for more information. That's big-tall.com. Go BC!
No one gets you closer to ACC sports than SiriusXM. Tune in to shows on ACC Radio, hosted by experts like Wes Durham, Chris Spatola, EJ Manuel, Tori Holt, and me, Mark Packer. Plus, get conference news, analysis, and much more. From off-season through postseason, we've got your team covered anywhere you go. And now you can try us out for free. Get a free trial to take your team with you on your phone, online, and at home. Start listening at SiriusXM.com/ACCSXM.
It's back, the return of the prestigious Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, honoring college sports excellence across all competitive divisions, both men's and women's sports. Follow along with L Directors Cup on Twitter or online to see which schools will be taking home a first place trophy in June for their season-long success. Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, a premier institutional award jointly launched in 1993 by USA Today and NACDA.
This is the Boston College Football Show, presented by Bud Light. For more of tonight's show, here again, Jon Meterparel.
And welcome back, everybody. Great to have you with us. A reminder, we'll be kicking off the season on the Learfield IMG Sports Network on Saturday with our BC Game Day pregame show at 11:30. Kickoff from Duke is at 12:03. So you like that unorthodox time, Coach, 12:03. Keep that in mind. Set your alarm for that one. You'll be ready for it. Special teams, a guy that usually joins us on the program, Pete Cronin, BC All-American, is a huge fan of special teams. He was a special teamer for the Redskins and Seahawks. I think maybe an unheralded part of the game for a lot of coaches. What do you have to do to make sure that area is improved this year?
Well, I think we hired a great coach in Matt Turin. I was with him last year at Ohio State, and he actually worked with me a lot in the secondary, and he worked a lot in special teams. He's been a coordinator at other schools. To me, he's a bright young star who gets the game, sees the big picture, works. His preparation is incredible, and I have full trust in him. You know, I sit in on those meetings and help any way I can, but I think Matt's done a great job with the players. You know, we have to get better on special teams. We got to kick the ball better. We have to make our field goals when we kick them. We got to pump the ball well, protect, and hopefully get some big returns this year and go after some punts. We're going to be aggressive at times, and you know, we want to keep people on their toes. But we spend a lot of time on special teams. People definitely take it for granted, and we will not do that. So very involved as much as I can be and need to be. And Coach Turin's really a good football coach.
Aaron Boomery, returning kicker, was injured, had some surgery in the offseason. Danny Logman's given him some good camp competition. Either way, where you're going there, you don't know maybe yet, but it looks to me like it might be a strength.
From what I've seen in practice so far, they've done a really nice job. I know Boom has, you know, been battling that hip injury last year, and he's come back healthy, and he's kicked really well. And, you know, it's like a battle every day out there with him and Danny. I actually joked today when we were outside. I told him to move it back to the 40, and Coach Turin said, no. So I let him go with it. We didn't want to strain anybody's leg. So, no, we need that to get better. And, you know, when we call on them to kick, I'm confident that we'll make it. So I'm proud of those guys and how they play.
And you have some electric returning possibilities with Zay Flowers, Jalen Gill, Travis Levy's excelled in the past. So that seems like an area of good depth.
Yeah, you need it to be. You know, in the kick return game now with the new rule, the fair catch going out to the 25, that has to be very calculated, right? Depending how deep the ball's kicked in and where it is, the 25 is pretty good starting field position. If we feel like we can take advantage with one of those guys, we will. And then in the punt return game, those three guys, I watch them every day. They do a really good job of catching the ball, and I think they're all hoping that I'm going to call their name out for the first one. So, you know, hopefully one of them will catch the ball and put some moves on people and get going.
Ball security emphasized by every coach in America. How much has been a point of emphasis for you in the last month?
Huge. You know, I joked with the guys the other day. We do a ball security drill with the whole team just about every other day, offense and defense. I want everybody to learn how to carry the ball, everybody. And I don't care if it's a kicker, offensive player, defensive player. And the first time we did the drill that night in the team meeting, I showed them, and we were fumbling all over the place. Now we look totally different. I mean, 100% different. And it will be preached and it will be talked about. Ball security probably is the biggest determining factor of who wins games. And in the league I just came from, if you were +3, you were 93% going to win, and so on and so forth. And it's the same in college football. We have to protect the football, and we have got to do a really good job of attacking the ball. And I preach that to everybody on the team. So look, it's going to happen, right? It just, we got to make sure we're talking about it daily.
I'm assuming that's part of your keys to the game, Coach, as we move to our keys to the game, brought to you by McGovern Auto Group owned by Matt McGovern, Boston College class of 1992. McGovern Auto Group, the fastest growing auto group in the Boston area. Visit one of their 14 locations or check out McGovernAuto.com. What do you have to do to get your first victory at Boston College on Saturday?
Well, I think on offense, we got to do what we talked about. We got to take care of the football. And whether we end the drive with a field goal or a punt or a touchdown, we got to keep it moving forward. We can't go backward, whether it's penalties, procedural errors, sacks. We got to just keep moving it forward. Now, it's easier said than done in the first game, right? Jitters, anxious, new players playing, but that has to be huge for us. Then we got to run the ball. I mean, any good football team has got to establish the run, and with the offensive line that we have, we got to run the ball. So I'm excited to see how they do on that. You know, defensively, the biggest thing for us is we want to run, attack the ball, keep leverage, keep the ball in front, and play as hard as we can on every single play. If that means playing 22, 30 players, we're going to do that. But I want every man on that defense to look at each other and say, I'm going to go to the ball today. And when we hit somebody, I want 4 people at the ball. And the 5th guy, I want to attack the ball. And we're going to be aggressive. And most importantly, I think I said this to you today, I just want our whole entire team to walk into that stadium knowing that they did everything they could to play in this game, and they just need to be fearless and let it rip and not worry about anything. We're not going to be a tight team, and we're not going to look at the scoreboard and get worried about what happens early or third. No, we're going to play through all 4 quarters as hard as we can, stick together, and whatever the scoreboard says at the end, it says, and we'll reboot and do it again. But that is how we're going to play football this year.
Coach, I'm ready to play, man. I'm ready to run through that window you talked about earlier. It's going to be a lot of fun watching your team this year. Congratulations on getting the job. I know I speak for the rest of the BC football community. We are extremely excited to watch you, watch the staff, watch the team, and let's go get them on Saturday.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate everybody listening. I wish you could be there at our games. Hopefully in October you can be at the games, but just keep cheering for us, keep by us, and we will make you proud. Just stick with us.
And we will be there. Jeff Hafley, good luck.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
You got it, and thanks for your time. We'll see you next Wednesday on the BC Football Show. BC and Duke coming up Saturday, 11:30, our broadcast time. And fans can also access the BC Game Day digital program for the Duke game. Go to bceagles.com and visit BC at Home Virtual Hub. Special thanks to Wolf Goelke and Paul Roper and Jason Baum. For Jeff Hafley, I'm Jon Meterparel. Have a great rest of the week, everybody.
Thank you.